Welcome, everyone. We are so delighted that you are joining us. I'm especially thrilled to introduce to you today our very special guest. It's quite an honor, Rukmini Chaitanya, who's joining us today. Rukmini Chaitanya is a senior staff member at the Shivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat, Bahamas, and is the personal assistant to Swami Swarupananda, the Acharya or spiritual director of the ashram. Rukmini also regularly teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the Shivananda teacher training, and also other courses in the Bhagavad Gita, VEDANTA, positive thinking, meditation, and also yoga philosophy. Rukmini, it's an absolute joy to have you joining us today. Thank you for graciously accepting my invitation. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Carmen. It's a pleasure and an honor, and thank you for this invitation. Very happy to be here.
Well, you have a lot to teach us, a lot of wisdom and a lot of practical tips that you can give us for transforming our lives. Before we jump into your teaching, I'd like to ask if you could share a story. Tell us how you embarked on this spiritual journey, Rukmini, and what benefits you've gained by walking along this spiritual path.
I think it started when I was a PhD student, a graduate student at UC Berkeley. And life was stressful, as always, in graduate school. So somebody recommended to me to try yoga and introduced me to the Shivananda Yoga Center. And I started going there, and everything improved. Sleep got better, digestion became better, the mood became better, relationship became better, everything, life became much better. So I continued with my yoga studies, proceeded to meditation, positive thinking, started to learn the philosophy, and then even started to volunteer and experience the joy of selfless service. And one thing led to the other, and I ended up joining this organization, and it's been 20 years since, and it's just getting better and better every day. The benefits has been on all levels, on the physical level, the health, on the psychological, emotional, mental level. There is more positivity, more joy, more serenity, and just the ability to go through life with grace and acceptance. And then spiritually, which is the real reason why we're here, is the devotion to the path, the devotion to the lineage, to the teachers, and to God. So this is how I started. This is where I am today, and the benefits are, we can go on, but the benefits are really, really substantial.
That is an absolutely wonderful story to have started the yoga, entered into it during your PhD studies at Berkeley. That's a wonderful story. I know a lot of our listeners are wondering, especially today when we have so many stresses and crises and worries for so many in our societies, and even for our own selves going through this time. Could you share some of your wisdom about how we can overcome stress and anxiety and reach some of that equanimity that you just described as you have experienced?
I think the first thing to really acknowledge and recognize is that stressful times, challenging times, is not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a gift. It could be a lesson. It could be an opportunity to evolve. So I think the first thing is really to approach life with this perspective, to be grateful, to have gratitude for everything, including to the challenges, because we grow from them, we evolve. For example, in my case, the challenges led me to the spiritual path. And who knows where I've been today without those challenges. You mentioned the Bhagavad Gita. It all started with the hero, Arjuna, going through a major crisis in his life, which led him to find a teacher, to seek guidance, to have some humility and to desire to learn and to seek for meaning, higher meanings. So I think this is the first thing in terms of how to handle stress, is to acknowledge it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you really start your journey on the spiritual path, there are so many methods that can help. In our system, in our Shivananda lineage, our founder, Swami Vishnu Devananda, he introduced 5 basic principles that, in his perspective and experience, can really heal anything, and especially stress. He said, first of all, pay attention to your physical body and do daily exercise. In our system, we do daily yoga asana, yoga postures. They open not just your muscles and joints, but also your energy body, your energy channels. So everything goes more into alignment. And you all know about the connection between body and mind. So when you take care of the body, it also affects the mind. And the stress that is stored in the body is released by this daily exercise. And then he said, daily breathing exercises. Just pay attention to your breathing, because a lot of our stress is because of, unfortunately, we're not breathing properly. We're not breathing deeply. We're not utilizing the entire capacity of our lungs. And many major mental, emotional, psychological issues could be resolved just by breathing properly. So he introduced these daily simple breathing exercises called pranayama that are really meant to release the prana, the life force energy, and gain more vitality by that. Because a lot of the problem with stress is also being depleted energetically. And then he said, relaxation, daily relaxation is essential. Most of us in the West don't know how to relax. And the wisdom of yoga, the wisdom of the Indian culture that he brought to the West is really to teach us how to relax on 3 levels: physical level, mental level, and spiritual level. So on the physical level, he taught the tensing and releasing the muscles to start with, in order to remind us what is the difference between tension and relaxation that we just forgot. Then how to use our mental powers to do auto-suggestion and relax all the muscles with the power of the mind. And then on the mental level, we pay attention to the breath, and the more we regulate it, the more the mind becomes calm, because of the intimate connection between breath and mind. And then on the spiritual level, we are reminded that we're not even this body nor this mind. Your real nature is pure soul, infinite, immortal, and all blissful soul. So if you can release the identification, the strong identification with the body and the mind, that is the ultimate relaxation. So this is point number 3. After the exercise, breathing, relaxation, then there are 2 more points. One is about your diet. So we follow a pure diet with a lot of emphasis on fruits, vegetables, whole grains. It's a vegetarian diet because we follow ahimsa, non-violence, and it's sattvic, it's pure. And it's cooked by a chef that is positive. So the energy of the food is also positive, and how you eat it is in a calm, peaceful way. So all this goes into the point number 4, which is diet. And the last point, number 5, is positive thinking and meditation. So in our daily life, we utilize techniques to each time a negative thought enters the mind, whether it's anger or frustration or sadness or hatred, whatever, we replace it with the opposite thought that is of a positive nature, like compassion, kindness. We replace anger with patience. We replace hatred with love. And you can do it. It's doable because you're the master of your mind, not the other way around. You just have to be able to see that you're not the mind. And therefore you can change it, you can transform it. You're the master. And then finally, meditation. So daily meditation is crucial, not only for our well-being, but for our spiritual evolution. So this is just the gist of how to deal with stress based on the 5 points of yoga by Swami Vishnudevananda.
Rukmini, that is beautiful. I think you just outlined in a few minutes a treasure chest of wisdom and practical living that can help us with achieving happiness and transformation. I love how you said that we can work with the mind and train it too. And I like that it's an embodied approach. So it takes in what we eat and even having a cheerful chef who cooks it. That's a really, really overall wonderful program. It's very inspiring to me. And I think it takes me to thinking about how us in the West often tend to have perfectionistic tendencies and are very criticizing, have an inner voice of criticism. So what do you recommend? What do you teach? And what do you yourself do? Or what have you done when we have these moments where we really need or want to learn or improve our self-compassion and also grow ourselves? Do you have advice and approach for that also? I'm sure you do.
Yes, thank you, Carmen, for this question, because it's such a central problem for many people in our society, and it's unfortunate. I just recently read a psychologist saying that it's one of the hardest things for psychologists to treat or to do therapy when there is self-hatred. It's a hard one for them. And I think, first of all, compassion, all the practices that we do are meant to cultivate compassion. But what about starting here, right? Of course, we should not be hating anyone. We should be compassionate to all of our fellow beings. But what about this being? Is also a being, right? So no hatred, please, and compassion, absolutely. But perfectionism by itself is not a bad thing. It's good to want to do things well. It's good to aspire for perfection. But please remember, we do our best. When we are perfectionists, we do our best because we want to excel, because we want to, especially if we're serving others, we want them to be happy. We want to give our very best to them. And whether if I cook a meal, I want it to be perfect so people will enjoy it. If I teach a class, I want it to be perfect so people will enjoy and benefit. I want to serve. But when the results come, let's say it ended up not being perfect. Let's say it ended up not being a success. It ended up being a failure. Then the results, and this is none of our business, because as long as you give your best, you leave the rest to God. So your part is the action itself, is to make sure it's done well, with devotion, with dedication, with enthusiasm, with the desire to benefit others, and with the intention to do my duty, whatever it may be. I'm just here to serve. So this should be your attitude towards your action. This is called the yoga of action, karma yoga, is when you give your very best to your action. But when the results come, this is from God. Whether it's success or failure, whether it's criticism or praise, whether it's victory or defeat, these are called the pairs of opposites, and it's not really within our control. It has to do with our past actions, it has to do with karma, it has to do with what God wants us to experience. So we offer the results. And this is also perfectionism. I give my very best and I offer the fruits to the Supreme Being. And this Supreme Being that I'm talking about is not some kind of a, old man with white beard sitting in the sky. Is the divine reality that sits in everyone's heart. Is the consciousness that is the foundation of all of this appearance. To that, I offer my actions and the fruits of my actions. So nothing wrong with wanting to be perfect with my actions, but accepting the results with joy, understanding that this is not within my control, and surrendering to that. And then there is no judgment, right? Because when failure comes, if you have a tendency to judgment, either you blame others or you blame yourself. Like we seek someone to blame, but there is no one to blame. It is what it is. Life is about opposites. You cannot have only success. Guaranteed, it's not possible. When you have success, guaranteed failure will come. When you have pleasure, guaranteed pain will come, because this samsara, this illusory reality that we are experiencing is all about opposites. So understanding that, then you can go graciously through life without hatred to others or to yourself, without judgment to others or to yourself. Just compassion.
That is very much a gentler path than perfectionism, for sure. It's beautifully said. You explain it so very well. I'm curious, could you explain for everyone listening, why have you studied the Vedanta, and why should others?
The Vedanta philosophy is the highest philosophy. Vedanta is a word in Sanskrit that consists of two words, Veda, Anta. Veda is knowledge and Anta is end. So Vedanta literally means the end of knowledge. And why it's called the end of knowledge? One reason is because it's the philosophy of the Upanishads. And the Upanishads are the ending portions of the Vedas. But another reason is it's called the end of knowledge because after you know this, there is nothing else to be known. And I was always a seeker after knowledge. That's why I went to get a PhD. That's why I wanted to learn for so many years. I read so many books. I was seeking after knowledge. But this knowledge, the Vedanta philosophy, is when you know this, you know everything. Because this is the knowledge about the essence of reality. And when we say the essence of reality, we mean the essence of you, the essence of me. So it's really about knowing yourself, but not just knowing your body or your mind, knowing the real you, the essence of what you really are. And that's it's very, very important to know who you are. Very important. It's the most important thing. In fact, there is nothing else that is important. That is the only thing to know, is who you are. Swami Shivananda says, inquire, who am I? Know thyself and be free. Because once you know yourself, you're free. And when I say free, I mean free from pain, free from suffering, free from bondage, free from limitations, and free from death. Because as long as you identify your identity so strongly with this body, with this collection of cells, flesh, skin, blood, bone, muscles, all this physical thing, if you think this is what you are, who you are, this is not such good news. You know, it keeps changing. At some point it starts decaying, and at some point it's no more. So then that's not very, very hopeful. But the Vedanta philosophy is saying, don't worry, it's not what you are. So then you may think, oh, okay, so then maybe I'm the mind, all these thoughts and emotions and personality and the character. Maybe that's my real identity. But when you investigate, you see this bundle of thoughts and emotions and sensations and feelings that we call mind is constantly changing, is constantly transitioning from pleasure to pain, etc. There is nothing constant about it. There is just change and not even so much happiness. So the good news is Vedanta philosophy is saying even that mind, even this personality that you think you are, is also not your identity. What you are, what you truly are, is the pure awareness that is witnessing silently, witnessing the body and witnessing the mind. And I can easily prove it to you because you see, I have a book here. So if I'm the one who's perceiving the book, then clearly I'm not the book, right? Clearly, this is an object. I am the subject who perceives. But what about this body? I'm perceiving the body, then clearly I'm not the body. The body is just an object. I'm perceiving the mind, right? I can notice when I'm having thoughts, emotions. Clearly I know it. So therefore, I'm not the mind. I'm not the emotions. If there is sadness, I'm not the sadness. I'm witnessing the sadness. If there is anger, I'm not the anger. I'm witnessing the anger. And it's coming and going. It arising, sustained momentarily, and dissolves. And I'm still here, witnessing all this show, all this movie. So what am I then? And Vedanta philosophy says, I am the silent witness, the pure awareness. And the nature of that pure awareness is absolute existence, absolute consciousness, and the best part, absolute bliss. It's the nature of the awareness that you are. And the next step in the Vedantic inquiry is only to discover one more important thing. That pure awareness that you are is the same one that is here also. My awareness, my identity, call it the Atman or the self, is yourself. It's the same one. Right now, the same one is looking from these eyes into these eyes, and the same one is looking from these eyes into these eyes. There is only one in this room, but there is only one in general. There are not many awarenesses or consciousnesses. There's only one consciousness. And you are that consciousness. So Vedanta is just knowing that, removing the ignorance, the false identification, and becoming merged, absorbed in what you truly are. And then you are immortal. Then there is no death. Not to you, not to your loved ones. Just the physical body goes through changes, but nothing happens to you.
That is absolutely beautiful. You make philosophy both lyrical and practical. When you talk about the divine reality sitting in everyone's hearts. And one of the things I know that you have spoken about with the tradition and the lineage of which you are a part is this idea of unity in diversity, which I think is very needed and very applicable for today. So in the Shivananda yoga tradition, there is this unity in diversity. Can you share with us a little bit about what that idea is and how maybe one practice or one way you approach integrating that into actually your way of being and living?
Thank you. Beautiful question. Unity in diversity is indeed a central message of our lineage, starting all the way from Swami Shivananda, our Param Guru, who our organization is called after his name. And it was brought to the West by our founder, Swami Vishnudevananda. And both of them really put their heart and their dedication to promote this idea of unity in diversity. So if we accept that there is only one consciousness and all these human beings and other beings are just manifestation of that oneness, then we are all one. This is the unity. There is one essence. We are one. You and I are one. All are one. Humanity is like a family. Is like there is oneness. It's brotherhood and sisterhood, and therefore, clearly there should be no hatred, no war, no conflict. If you understand that oneness, and at the same time, the diversity is the fact that each one of us has a different form. Like if you look at my body, it's looked differently than yours. So in that sense, there is diversity because the names and the forms are different. I have a different name. You have a different name. I have a different form and shape. You have a different form and shape. This is the diversity. But in essence, we are one. Like take the ocean. I happen to be nearby the ocean in Paradise Island. So there are many waves. And each individual wave is a different shape, different size, different form, different color. But all these waves together are just one big ocean. And in essence, it's all made of water. So the diversity is only in the external appearance, in the external characteristics. I may have a different personality than you. But in my essence, in your essence, we're one. So the diversity is just a beautiful manifestation of the oneness. And so we celebrate this diversity. I mean, it would have been boring if everyone would look the same, speak the same, behave the same. So, God created this beautiful diversity. So it makes things interesting. Each one has a different temperament, a different tendency. So when you go to the world religions and the world spiritual traditions, there are so many, right? We followed the Vedanta philosophy and yoga that is based on the Hindu tradition. There is the Buddhist tradition, the Christian traditions, Judaism, Islam, Sikhism, Jainism, so many, the Baha'i tradition, and the Native American tradition. And so our lineage, our teachers are saying, yes, the paths are many, but the truth is one. They're all saying the same thing in different ways. And then they say the names are many, but God is one. So, right, it's like you climb a mountain, there are many different paths, but when you reach the peak, when you reach your destination, that it's only one. And what you see from the top of the mountain is all the same. Doesn't matter which path you chose to climb. So this is why we are regularly here in our ashram in the Bahamas, we conduct symposiums and we invite a representative of every tradition. But we make sure that the people we invite are mystics, are not just following the formal institutional religion, but they understand the deeper mystical meaning of their tradition. And when you bring the mystics together, doesn't matter from which tradition, they don't even need to speak. They just look each other in the eye and they know. And they know they're experiencing the same thing and they're saying the same thing in different words, in different languages. The ceremonies externally are a little different, but the internal state in deep meditation, when the mind is out of the way and the mystic, the yogi, the saint, the sage, when they're in the super conscious state that we call samadhi, that union of the individual soul with the supreme being, they're in the same state. Doesn't matter which system they follow.
Can I say I absolutely love the interspiritual gatherings that you describe? I think that sounds like a place I would love to be, listening to what conversations go on, because it's kind of like a good notion also of global peace and conversation. I'm wondering if you have any one sort of practice that you could share with us that over the years, perhaps you or the people you are teaching, your students and others, have found really helpful, either for positive thinking or meditation, or really whatever you think. You're the expert. Is there any one thing or story you could share that would help us understand even more so the practical side of what you're talking about?
I think practically the best thing that one could do, which I would recommend, is what Swami Shivananda calls the yoga of synthesis. And that is integrating the four paths of yoga into your daily life. And by doing so, making sure to have a harmonious development of your active temperament or aspect of your personality, your emotional aspect of your personality, and the intellectual aspect of your personality, meaning integrating the head, the heart, and the hands. So daily, do a little bit of selfless service, karma yoga. Serve your fellow beings. Volunteer, give a hand, whatever skill you have, whatever gift or talent you have, share it with others selflessly. Because this gift was given to you by God, to not to keep it to yourself, but to serve others. If you're a good teacher, teach others. If you're a good musician, share your music with others. So whatever gift you have, share with others selflessly. And we call it karma yoga, selfless service. And this assures you that you purify your actions. And then on the emotional level, we all have emotions. And so a daily practice of bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, assures that the heart is also not neglected. Because many of us live in the head too much, spending days thinking or working, doing intellectual work, and neglecting the emotions. So the bhakti yoga path includes practices like chanting, daily chanting of Sanskrit mantras, or any devotional chanting, any devotional singing with love in the heart. Doing rituals, whatever tradition you come from, if you could do a daily small devotional ritual. Listen to stories about the divine. Repeat the name of the divine. We call it a mantra. So all this comes under the category of bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion. And so the idea is not to neglect that part in our personality and daily cultivate divine love. Then daily practice of meditation. And so meditation, the way how we teach it is assuming a meditative posture where the body is still, but also comfortable and relaxed. So both steady and relaxed. And making sure the spine is straight so the energy can flow properly to the higher centers. And then focusing during our meditation session, focusing on the breath, making sure it's rhythmical, and focusing on a chakra, on a focal point, either in the heart center or between the eyebrows, and focusing on a mantra. That is if you have a personal mantra, or just the mantra Om, which is the universal sound, the primordial sound of creation. So like that, doing daily meditation is called Raja Yoga, the path of meditation or the path of mind control. And it's very good to help your meditation by daily doing some yoga asana and breathing exercises, just to open the channels and make the body a better instrument or to be fit for meditation. And then finally, daily doing some practice of what we call jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge. And that means studying the scriptures, reading the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads or any spiritual book that gives you inspiration, that uplifts your mind, and making sure that the intellect is not neglected and it's also being purified and channeled to higher dimensions, that we're not utilizing the intellect just for worldly things. And so this all, what I just said together, is called the yoga of synthesis. And this is the utmost prescription for happy life, according to Swami Shivananda. And he says, know your personality. If you're more emotional in nature, choose bhakti as your main path. If you're more intellectual in nature, choose jnana yoga as your main path, etc. So focus on one, but don't neglect the other three. Combine them in your daily life. So little bit of everything, guarantee that you will have a balanced life, good sleep, good positive mindset, success in your work, success in your relationships, success in your life, and in your spiritual progress and spiritual evolution.
Rukmini, I absolutely love how articulate you are in presenting this yoga of synthesis. I think you have unpacked thousands of years in just a few minutes. I'm so impressed, and it's all so very hopeful for all of us. And I want to ask, where can everyone find you online? What's the main web page where we can find where you are?
So our website is shivanandabahamas.org. And so Shivananda is spelled Sivananda, Bahamas.org. This is our location, the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas. We're on Paradise Island. So first, if you want to find me on site, you can just jump on a plane and come to the Bahamas. Especially in the winter, you're going to like it when it's cold elsewhere. And online, we have a different website called online.shivanandabahamas.org. This is a platform where we're teaching online and sharing, daily satsangs, yoga classes, and also courses on yoga philosophy and meditation, positive thinking. So this is where you can find. And I think nowadays, the combination of being online together in this satsanga, in this spiritual community, which is virtual, and then every once in a while getting together in person with your spiritual community and teachers and spiritual friends, that is the best. Really, thanks to the pandemic, we now have both. We have the capacity to meet and interact in person, which I think is important. But when we are away, we can stay in touch.
That is a hybrid approach. So yes. The websites again are Sivananda, so shivanandabahamas.org, and then online.shivanandabahamas.org. So those are your two websites. I'm curious, would you after sharing so many wise and practical ways for us to really be with the divine reality sitting in our hearts, as you said so lyrically, do you have a brief chant that you would like to end us with, perhaps close us out with? You have given us so many happy ways to approach life. Do you have some sort of chant you would feel like you would want to share, Rukmini?
I'd like to share a short kirtan chant to the Supreme Being in the form of Lord Krishna, who is the flute player, and he's the one who embodies the qualities of infinite joy, love, and playfulness. So he keeps our mood always elevated. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare Hey Nata Narayana Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare Hey Nata Narayana Vasudeva 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 Gurudev Gurunat Sharanam Mama Om 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 Shri Gurudev's feet are my only refuge. 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 Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare Hey Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
My goodness, Rukmini, thank you so much. That was beautiful. That was such a beautiful way to end. Thank you so much, Rukmini, for your time, your participation, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and beautiful way of being with us, and for ending us with such a calm and transformative chant. What a wonderful session with Rukmini Chaitanya. Thank you all for listening.